Hello, welcome back everyone. Come on in, come on in. We're talking about onboarding today. So everyone's welcome because today we are talking about onboarding. And this one is specifically targeted to agent onboarding. Oh wow. Look at, how important microphones are? They're kind of important. So yeah. Welcome back. Come on in. Come on in. Everyone's welcome. Everyone's welcome. So let's gather around and talk about onboarding. I know, wait. Don't leave. I promise this is so important. We are looking at what the patterns are with onboarding for agents and employees alike. And people might say, Melissa, these agents aren't people. No, they're not people, but they are performing job functions. And as these agents become more capable, onboarding is becoming more and more important. Okay. And with my background in HR and employee benefits, I am just floored at some of the comparisons, some of the similarities between onboarding an employee and onboarding an agent. And since one of the hot topics right now is whether or not we're all going to be replaced by AI, I think that the current state of AI is not ready to remove their human babysitters. I mean, it's almost in some sense giving us more job security because yes, AI, they are good in a certain sense, but in another sense, they need direction. They need hard rules, hard and fast rules, hard and fast borders, hard and fast boundaries. And as easy as that concept may be, it is hard to do. It is hard to do. Okay. So I'm going to go through this right now. We're going to look at what Hermes cooked up for us today. He's been cooking away over there all day. I might have to get him his own AC unit. I'm out here in Arizona and it is quite warm. Luckily I have solar, and so we're doing just fine over here. But he needs his own AC unit. I do have a little fan, a little cooling pad here for the A6 GX10, but I do not have one for my Victus laptop that Hermes is running on. And he still feels his fan's still working. He does have an internal fan, so everything seems to be running pretty cool. But they have been cooking up a storm. I do notice the increased temperature in this room, let me tell you. You should be seeing this agent onboarding mastery on your screen. Build your first AI employee. So what this lecture covers, it covers the real cost of getting onboarding wrong, why onboarding a CEO agent takes longer than a customer service rep, a 20-question interview that prevents 90% of failures, infrastructure that survives crashes, not just runs, the sovereign system when local first matters, action checklist you can use today. So my thesis is that I want to have agency over my own information and my own resources. And I have landed on getting away from Opus 4.8 and ChatGPT 5.5. I understand they're the best, most capable models, and that's great. I'm happy for those of you that are using it. However, I work with sensitive information. I have personal sensitive information. I have personal finances. I have personal taxes. I have business taxes and books and parts of my life that I don't want ChatGPT, OpenAI, Opus, Anthropic. They're not getting all that information. Okay? So as much as I love these new models and the geeky side of me loves to see what's possible, I do test with them. I do play with them. I'm not going to sit here and pretend I don't. But as a long-term sustainable strategy for me, I have to have my information here with me and protected. I don't want to be sending it out to some other company. I want control over my information. On top of that, for those of us that work with clients, we are handling other people's information. And although I don't have any client information on any AI system right now, at some point I want to learn enough to be able to use these systems to service clients and businesses. So in order to do that, I have to come from a security and privacy first framework. Okay, so I want to have sovereign systems, things I can control. I don't need all of my private information out on the internet. You just open yourself up to hackers, people stealing your money, and so on and so forth. So William version 1, the crash. So March 26th, William onboarded via OpenClaw. April 27th, config corruption 4 times in 17 minutes. May 1st through May 19th, there were 227,840 plus tokens burned on failed cron jobs. May 21st, William rebuilt. June 2nd, William version 2 stable. I wouldn't say the crash happened because there was something wrong with onboarding. A lot of that had to do with updates that were coming from OpenClaw. I was naively assuming that OpenClaw and OpenAI knew better than I did about what their software needed to run properly. So every time an update came through, I was just updating. And it caused quite a few problems. Okay. But as I was doing the William onboarding, I didn't know what I was doing. It was haphazard. I really was just having a conversation with William. We were getting to know each other. And I really built him in a very conversational way. And I would not do it that way again. I would move forward in the way that I'm proposing, the way that William proposed to me that we onboard Hermes. So the first step is to do a 30-minute interview. There are interviews available online that you can download that it'll ask you like 30 questions. And before you download your agent or do anything, you type out answers and you really think about it. It could take you up to an hour or a couple hours, depending on how detailed you need to be. And in mine, I had to collect operating procedures and how I wanted information handled, where I wanted private information, where I wanted public information, and really think it out. Highly, I would say that is at a bare minimum, absolutely 100% complete an interview with yourself and answer questions about what you want this agent to do. And if you have any other agents, are their job duties changing in any way? Is the scope of work of the other agents changing? And not only is this 30-minute or 30 question interview important because the new onboarded agent is now hopefully going to understand what their new role is and what your goals and objectives and values are. Now the next step is to move forward and determine how they fit into the team and what information they need access to, what information they don't need access, and so on. So concept 1, the HR analogy. So start simple. Onboarding an agent is like onboarding an employee. One thing that I came across is as I was researching on the internet, how do I onboard an agent? Some of these questionnaires are pretty simple and most people seem to just breeze right on through it. They spend just a couple of minutes filling out a couple of questionnaires and they're off and running, which is fine. But my argument to this is, what type of agent are we onboarding? What is their role? What will their tasks be? Are you onboarding a simple customer service agent? Onboarding a CFO, COO, CTO style agent? Those executive level agents will take longer than onboarding a customer service rep at a shoe company. You know, a shoe company, you're going to want your customer service rep to be able to answer questions about returns, damaged products, shipping, receivings, payments, warranty work, and the like. Now, even a customer service rep in the area of employee benefits or health insurance or human resources, those kinds of customer service reps are going to have a lot more scenarios they need to be able to handle to be effective. Even the type of company or the type of business, this type of service model or agency model that customer service rep is working in will determine how much onboarding work you need to put in before that agent can be trusted and is doing good work and fully functional. So please take time, think about these things. Same company, same building, totally different timeline. Why? Scope of damage, decision authority, and trust surface area. Okay. The simple truth: when you hire a person, you don't hand them the keys to the building, the password to the bank account, and list 50 tasks on day one. You interview them first, you understand who they are and why they're there, define their role, what they own, where's their desk, where are they sitting, how do they log in to the network, which systems are you using, which systems are they going to need to use or have access to complete their job, and what they don't have access to. You set boundaries, what they can touch and what they can't touch. Train them on one task and then verify that they get it. All right, here's your task. When you're done, send me an email, give me a copy of your work. Do this report, send me a copy of the report. If you don't get a copy of the report, you go in and you check in with your new hire and say, hey, did you have a problem? No, I sent the email. Uh-oh, is there something wrong with your email? Let's make sure your email system is up and running, and let's talk to the IT department. Or all these similar scenarios come up to real life employee scenarios as well as agentic AI when onboarding agents. So slowly expand the scope, earn trust over time. So starting out with one simple project, don't give them too much too soon. Test, make sure you like the output of the product, the quality of work is up to par, up to your standards. And if it's not, you have the room to iterate, and give yourself the room to iterate. Give yourself and the agent time to have some tests, work back and forth, make adjustments, and grow from there. The agents are the same. The only difference is they don't ask for bathroom breaks. They can destroy your data in milliseconds as well. So super powerful tools. And just like people, agents can misunderstand, make mistakes, and screw up. Okay, they're not perfect. Drill down on onboarding timelines, real data from HR, same logic applies to agents. So Hermes created this presentation for me. This is actually the first time I am seeing it. And sometimes when I go through these, I start recording and I end up stopping and I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to get Hermes. That was kind of my week last week, as I would start recording a video for you guys to share something like this. This was supposed to be on last week's menu, but here we are this week. And so just so you know, these presentations Hermes cooks up for me. And what I asked him to do is I'm seeing parallels between onboarding Hermes and onboarding a new hire. And I would like to see if anybody else has done any studies in this area, if anyone else are writing articles about these sorts of things. So I asked him to research. I also asked him to look up employment data on and HR survey data to see how long HR managers expect to onboard employees based off of their roles or their job titles. So human employee onboarding, and for those of you that are here for the AI talk, You'd be thinking, oh my gosh, why is she talking about HR? What does this have to do with anything? This is a fabulous opportunity to learn from current business practices and give ourselves more realistic expectations. Because one thing I see out here on the internet in this AI, agentic AI space is rush, 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 rush. Everybody get up and running. Let's make $10,000 tomorrow with this new agent, and just very hyper and rushing and manic. It's a manic energy. And I would like to take the time to push my hands and feet out in front. Just slow down. It doesn't have to be done in 5 seconds. And if you do it in 5 seconds, your result is going to be shit. You're going to waste your time. You're going to spin your wheels. You're like a Jeep, an underpowered Jeep in a mud bog that has street tires. Okay? You don't have super swamper bogger tires, non-biased tires. You have full belted drag racing tires with no tread. Okay? You're just, your engine's going to be running. You're going to be burning tokens, wasting money, and just spinning out, going nowhere. I say that from experience because I have been there. I've been in a session with AI and been banging away, slamming on the keyboard because I'm upset, because I'm pissed, because I thought I was going to get something done in an hour that ended up taking me 3 days. When I still have to work. This is still hard. This is not easy. It's not going to be handed to you on a silver platter. If you just start copying what everybody else is doing and copy and pasting everything, you're going to end up with what they call AI slop. It's sloppy, it's lazy, and I'm sorry to break it to you, but if you want a quality, high quality work product, you are still going to have to put in care and effort and thought into it. Okay, so that's my lecture. I'll stop lecturing everybody. So this is interesting. We'll go through what human resources go through and what their expectations are for onboarding different roles within an organization. And these are just benchmark numbers. They can vary per industry, but this is just the national averages for here in the United States. Customer service, 1 to 2 weeks. So scripted, and why? Because they're reviewing scripted responses, limited systems access, and close supervision. So a lot of times these customer service reps, when they are working inside systems that they've never worked in before, or even if you have worked in a system before and you go over to a new company, that new company, it may use the system in a different way. Their folders are going to be saved under a different label and different file trees and so on. So the customer service rep needs someone to sit down with them and walk them through how we do it here. This is how we do it at ABC Customer Service Company. This is our way of doing it. And you sit and you train that customer service rep on your company's values, industry, or different standards, and so on. So that's a 1 to 2 week timeline before a supervisor will consider that employee ready to get on the line and get up and running. Then we have general staff, 2 to 4 weeks, defined processes, moderate access, manager check-ins. A manager role is 1 to 3 months. So team authority, budget exposure, and strategic context. So why does it take a manager 1 to 3 months for onboarding versus a customer service rep? Because a manager from day one, in order to manage a department or manage a group of people, they need to understand a lot about strategic context. And strategic context may be different with Susie than it is with Bill, okay? And so the manager needs to understand all the different team members, what the different roles are, what the strategy is for the company, go to several company meetings, learn the company culture, You don't learn a company culture overnight. You don't learn a company strategy in 1 to 2 days. These things can take time, and the more strategic context a position needs, the longer on ramp that employee needs for onboarding. Then we get into a general executive like a VP or CFO, 3 to 6 months, because they have cross functional decisions. They're working with different departments. They're working with HR, the CEO, they're working with the accounting department, and so on. So, and also financial authority. They may not start out day one with having access to all the things. That may be dripped out over time, not just because of trust boundaries, although that is certainly part of it, and it's something you should think about with your agents as well. It's also because it takes time for people to understand how to use each system. So you may want to train an employee in system one and have them work in that specifically for a week or a month, depending on how complicated it is, and then introduce the next layer the next month. Or maybe there's only certain programs a CFO would use once a quarter because for tax filings and things like that. So it may not be that it's just not a priority on day one when the CFO gets there. The CFO doesn't need to know all the ins and outs of the tax system for the organization on day one unless something's due right away. Maybe something's due in 2 or 3 months. Well, they're going to look at it at that time. They're going to hit priorities as the timeline makes sense. So then we have a CEO. A CEO can take 6 months or 12 months or even longer. Full authority, maximum damage surface, culture setting, ultimate trust. So a CEO gets about 12 months because they make a wrong move, the whole company pays. Customer service rep gets 2 weeks because they're reading from a script. Same building, same HR department, just different trust surfaces. And then with AI agent onboarding, in my experience, a content writer is 1 to 3 days. Single output type, no external actions, easy to verify. And that's because you give the content writer different materials and styles on how you would like content written, and then test and see the output. If you like the output, great, test done, agent onboarded. Or you run into issues like their email isn't working, or the communication channel that you thought they were set up on, something broke, some line in the connection broke, or you have to do it a different way, or you have to get over in the terminal and authorize something. It comes down to functionally, can the content writer get you the content that you're requesting in the channel that you're requesting it in? And then number 2 is evaluating the work and how many times you tweak and how much you care about the output. Are you being very specific about your output, or do you just want it done? Are you just checking off a box, or are you really honing in a message? And if you're really honing in a message, it might even take longer. I know it's taking me longer. I keep tweaking this damn thing. So research analyst, 1 to 2 weeks. And why is because read-only data, citation required, and no execution. Making sure that they're researching the right things and they have context to what is important to you and the keywords that you want that research agent looking for. Confirming that they're using citations is a fun one, and testing, checking. Then we have a CRM operator, 2 to 4 weeks. And this is because we have to build up enough trust for database access and structuring the policy on who does what. Trading assistant, 1 to 3 months. Paper trade, small capital, scale, triple gate, every move. Okay. And then we have executive CO, 2 to 6 months, multi-system access, delegation authority, other agents report to them. All right. So my rule, the 10-time rule for agents. I don't let an agent run autonomously until I've seen it execute the same task successfully 10 times in a row with 0 human correction. Not 3 times, not 5, 10. That's my customer service rep graduation test. And yes, I've had the rule of 10 in multiple things, and some people have more than 10, but I currently have the rule of 10. And that's because I have seen where agents may stray from commands or misunderstand commands, and we may need to build out more direction than I realized. And I don't realize it until I get a response either that I didn't expect or a response that doesn't meet my standards. Concept 2, the interview phase. Start simple. You won't hire someone without an interview. Don't deploy an agent without one either. The core idea. Before William or Hermes wrote a single line of code, they sat down, metaphorically, and had an interview with me. Not a generic template, a real conversation about who I am, what I want, and where their guardrails are. So Hermes got it right. So 48 hours of structured Q&A before deployment, written summary of understanding and the user, then I confirmed, a constitution embedded in the system prompt, clear, no lists, no trades, no emails, no posts without approval. So we started out with really very tough constraints and tight guardrails for Hermes when he first came on. And with William, and what's interesting about this is Hermes doesn't have a whole lot of information on William because William came before him. So I was hoping to get some sort of a side-by-side comparison of how I onboarded Hermes versus how he onboarded William, but apparently that's just not going to happen. Drill down the stack. What I built after William crashed, use this as a starter template. So I have this template, and I also have a interview list of questions that I used to interview myself. And I also went into Perplexity and had Perplexity help me clean it up and grammar check and all that before I deployed it and gave it to Hermes. And William helped me organize the onboarding packet for Hermes with all the information he needed to hit the ground running, at least on day one, and had a drip structure on when he would get certain items. So once he could complete certain tasks, like shoot me an email, and then we were able to move forward to the next task. So directory structure, every agent gets a proper home, and then system MD, service template. So restart always means if an agent crashes, system MD brings it back in 10 seconds. The single line would have saved William version 1. Backup strategy, the lesson I learned the hard way. 3-2-1 rule for agents. 3 copies of your agent's brain, 2 different medias, local drive and cloud, 1 offsite cloud backup of config and memory. I didn't do this for William. When his Mac Mini corrupted, we lost files. Now I back up agent config, system prompts, and memory files. And we talked about this in a recent video. And I don't have Hermes backed up on a cloud anywhere. And that's because he's run completely locally, and I have my local model here running in my office. And I'm currently working through how to secure a backup. Yes, I have a backup here in my office. However, what if, the house burns down, or, God forbid, or my roof leaks and water gets all over everything and I lose my Hermes and my server. Now, I can replace the laptop and the A6 GX10 server, but, I have insurance, that's fine, but how do I get all of that work? I don't. It's just lost, and I'd have to start over and rebuild. So I am incorporating, I'm thinking about this in the way of a cold storage wallet, much like you would with cryptocurrency, where you take a flash drive, a large flash drive, and put some recovery files and recovery backup files onto a thumb drive and putting it in my safe. Because my safe is waterproof, fireproof, and I will have to do that on a regular basis. I'm hoping to get in the habit of doing it about once a week. Health monitoring, every agent needs a pulse. Heartbeat agent logs alive every 60 seconds. Cost cap, auto disable cron after 3 consecutive failures. Budget watch, daily token spend tracked, alert at 80%. Watchdog, if no heartbeat for 5 minutes, alert the operator. And again, William burned 227,000 tokens because no cap killed the loop. Now 3 failures equal auto stop. Budget exceeded equals human approval required. The golden rule, infrastructure before features. Your agent's first task should not be write me a report. It should be run for 24 hours without crashing. Log everything and restart if you die. Only then do you add capabilities. Yeah, and getting a agent to run for 24 hours straight is not a simple task, in my opinion. You almost have to schedule out tasks for your agent. And with my last Claw HQ, I had a scheduler. I had every agent with a calendar, and it looked like a Tron style Outlook calendar where we would fill out what each agent is going to do at different times. And I really liked that layout. I haven't started working down that path on my agent HQ. So I have another agent management system that I'm working on. It's more of a simple system. It's more of a Slack style system because at this moment I am just looking for agent communication system. All right. It's not quite an agent management system yet. It's more of an agent communication system so that I can see what everybody's doing, what everybody's saying, and also for my council. So I'm creating an agent council with multiple 10 agents and then a moderator. And I need a way to track and see and record all of their conversations so I can see if their conversations are just redundant and stupid, or if they're having real life debates that make sense and are useful. And I am curious to see how agents communicate with one another in that format, and we'll find it out together. I will continue to test it for the next week, and hopefully next week I'll have something for you to we can see together. All right, so simple truth. When onboarding Hermes, I used 5-level approval ladder. He started at level 0, research only, no trades, no posts, no emails, read, learn, document, that's it. This is how you onboard a CFO, not a customer service rep. You give them data first, then analysis, then recommendations, no execution, but only after they prove they won't blow up the balance sheet. A level 5 trust ladder. So level 1 research, where they read, analyze, summarize, no external actions. 7 days of accurate digests, user confirms quality. Level 1 with full reasoning and human approval required. 14 days of recommendations with 90% of user approval needed. And then level 2 is draft and queue. Write drafts, prepare execution files, human presses, send. Okay, so they're not sending anything to anybody. They're drafting things, I review. 30 days of drafts with 0 errors, user confirms. And I would say that's really where we are now. I started working with Claw on my birthday, March 26, 2026. So that's been April, May, 2 months, a little over 2 months. And those 2 agents blew up. I had to reconfigure them and get them on an Hermes platform. And so now I've been working with Hermes for 3 weeks. So yeah, we're still on track. And then the next phase will be execute pre-approved actions with narrow boundaries, i.e. $100 test. 60 days of limited actions, all within guardrails. So the idea is to give the agent access to a crypto wallet with $100 on it and have them execute tasks with that limited amount of money and see what they can do. And then level 4 is full authority, autonomous execution within the Constitution, human review weekly, 90 plus days, operator initiated, not agent requested. Okay, so there's levels to this. There's levels to this game. What 10 times actually means. So let's say your agent first reoccurring task is a daily morning digest. Before I let it run a cron schedule, I require 10 manual trigger tests. I run it, I review the output. All 10 outputs must be accurate, no hallucinated data, no missed sources. All 10 outputs on brand, tone, matches my communication style. All 10 outputs must complete, no skipped sections, no empty bullets. Cost per run stays under budget cap. Only 10 out of 10 clean runs do I schedule it. If number 7 fails, the counter resets to 0. And yes, for the most part, it is running that way. And the reason why is because I have found that agents like to set up cron jobs. They'll just be like, cron job. The next thing you know, you have like 100 cron jobs set up, and 95% of them don't work or are broken, and it's just like can create clutter. And if you focus on getting one cron job to produce the output that you like, then you move on to the next one. What Hermes did right. So the first task is CRM audit, single, manual, and reviewed. Output verified to me. It was accurate and actionable. Second task, build and audit findings, a small scope and a small expansion of the scope. After 10 clean daily digests, cron job was approved. Cost tracked from day 1. So we were always tracking costs throughout. That was very important to me, especially while I still had my Anthropic and ChatGPT subscriptions and API keys on. I do not have Anthropic or Claude or OpenAI subscriptions right now. That I'm very proud to say. That is, to me, an accomplishment. I am extremely proud that my system is not reliant on OpenAI or ChatGPT or Claude or Anthropic. So what William did wrong, he had 16 cron jobs scheduled before a single one was tested. AI tools, radar ran 100%. Failure rate, burning tokens. Email, never configured. 12 presentations were never sent. And no cap on costs. The approach: test 10 times, then do a cron job, upfront time 2 weeks, wasted tokens. If you don't give a human employee this authority on day 1, don't give it to an agent on day 1. Okay, so an agent can be faster than training a human. However, they still misunderstand. And again, I cannot reiterate enough, out of the box, they don't understand security. They don't understand what you mean by or private information or secure information. You really have to define it for them and spell it out and say, this here is considered sensitive information and only goes here on this machine. And this over here is public information. You can put it over here on the cloud. So being very, very specific, using the word protocol, physically writing it into an MD file and getting it updated in those MD files. Concept 5, the post-mortem. Start simple. William crashed. Here's what's happening so you don't repeat it. William, version 1, failure, 7 root causes. So wrong framework, claw, scattered identity across 4 markdown files. Some of them I didn't even create. No single source of truth, sole identity, user, agent. All MD files were empty or generic. Conflicting instructions, 6 versions of the bridge code, each with different system prompts. No persistent home. There were file dumps that were gone on reboot. Service management, no system MD, no agent restart, no heartbeat. Config corruption, JSON file overwritten 4 times in 17 minutes. Model and trust failures, model switch mid-project, Anthropic Opus. So this is also when I was moving from Anthropic over to Quen, a local model, and that was really one of the issues. While all of this was happening, updates were coming from OpenClaw, and I blindly just accepted the updates. I should have said, slow your roll. But also, when I was in the middle of this, I was thinking, well, if Claw's performance is tanking so bad, maybe the update will fix it. You just kind of hope. You don't know, when you're in the middle of troubleshooting something that you know nothing about and can't find solutions for, and there's not a whole lot of people. There are more now, but at the time it was very few people were even troubleshooting these things. And I'm trying to troubleshoot as a know nothing, as a know nothing regular person. So every time I'd hit a wall with my agent, I'd sit there and go, okay, well, what can I do? Because you get discouraged, right? I was getting discouraged. I'm like, man, maybe I can't do this. Maybe I'm just not smart enough. The head trash starts creeping in I had built my agent to the point where I was so proud and I was really happy with the quality of work. I was really happy the direction everything was going. I had a multi-agent system. We had built an agent management system that was really cool. And now it's just not working. Like, what do you do as a new person in this space? I didn't know what to do. So I got really discouraged. I got down on myself. I am very hard on myself. And the way I dug myself out was, okay, what's the next right thing? What can I do? What can I do? What can I do? And updates was one of them. And that's one of the things that I decided to do was update, accept every update. I didn't know what else to do at the time. And then the second thing was all this was happening around the time that I was getting rid of my Anthropic subscription and switching over to Qwen because local models are very important to me. And I thought that the performance being degraded was because of moving off of the most powerful model, which at the time was Opus 4.7, over to Qwen 2.5. Of course, you're going to see things change. And I had not worked with local models before, so I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know how that was going to feel. I wasn't sure how much of a downgrade it was going to be, if I was going to be able to live with that big of a downgrade. And at the time I was going, oh my gosh, I cannot do this local model thing. This is awful. I'm sitting there but at the same time I'm loading up Hermes, and Hermes was working just fine and kicking ass. And I was able to use Hermes to help me troubleshoot William, because it's like, okay, well, if you guys are running on the same model and Hermes is responding fine and making sense, why isn't Claw? So I can't say how fortunate the timing of Hermes getting up and running was for me. It was just amazing. So we went over the William postmortem pretty extensively. I did a graphic novel, if you will, soap opera on my agent drama that I had with Hermes and William. You can go back and watch all that if you want. And this gets into sticking to your principles and what stayed between the two agents. So I built William with principles in mind, and I will continue with every agent I build with principles and ethics and security in mind. So in the Constitution, in the no harm principle and no autonomous execution, and phased development approach. So we develop in phases. We don't hand over the keys to the kingdom on day one. We earn trust and build trust over time. Documentation loop. So agent writes and user confirms. Transparent file storage. So no hidden folders. The agents are not allowed to write any folders or anything without me being able to see everything. The principles were always right. The implementation was wrong. That's the key. So sovereignty in AI means that you own your own data. You own your own models. You own your own compute. You don't need subscriptions, and you don't need API keys. No vendor can read your private files. Okay. And so what I've decided to do is I don't have enough money to run 100% locally. And so I've decided to go a more cost effective route in my mind, because I was to the point where I was spending at least $200 to $500 a month on AI, because I like playing around with AI subscriptions. I have Leonardo, I have Descript, I have Opus, not 4.7, but Opus, the content cutter shorts. I don't like to go on social media at all. So I have opus.ai. I schedule all my posts in there, or I try to. I'm not great at it. I can schedule it out. I don't have to get into the feeds on Instagram and get distracted and get sucked into Facebook or any of that. So I do have these AI tools that I've been using for editing, for image generation. I have Suno. I love writing songs in Suno. I was playing around with animations and generating videos just for fun with my daughter. I like this stuff. Okay. And so my point is, I was spending $200 to $500 a month anyway, personally, on AI tools and gadgets. And I also I have a certain amount of spend where I allow employees to use Perplexity and help them manage some certain tasks within Perplexity. And so I have had an AI budget for the last, 3 years. And as I'm looking at our Anthropic basically caused the market to, we'd all have to pay more, right? So our costs went up at least a couple $100 for the max user plan. And also now they're limiting data and it's not as badass as it used to be and all this stuff. So I'm sitting there going, okay, so my cost just went up another couple $100 if I want to keep access, if I want to have access to the biggest, baddest ass models. Fine. Is it going to kill me? No. Could I pay it? Yes. However, I would rather take that couple $100 and buy this GX10 that for $3,000 or whatever it was, 3-4, I think it was $3,600, and pay it off for $300 a month over the next 12 months. Okay. So I'm maybe spending a little bit more, but now I have a backup to everything. I have a fixed cost. I know I can maintain the high level of AI function that I've grown used to for a little bit more money, but I'm not worried that, what if next month Anthropic doubles their prices again? Because all of you will remember there was a time where you could use Anthropic for $20 a month. And then you turn around and it's $100 a month. And the next week you log in, it's $200 a month. And it's like, well, is it going to be $400 a month next time I log in, tomorrow? And it was this very roller coaster jump feeling where you're going up the roller coaster and you're like dropping down. You're like, ah. I do not like that feeling of somebody just said, oh, by the way, cost went up, so we're doubling your bill. It's like, what? Excuse me? No. I'm going to try to control this as much as I can and at least maintain what I have. I may not be able to pay for the biggest badass ass model, but hey, at least what I have is mine. And that was my justification. So now I have both. I have my local model and my GX10, where I can save all of my private information. And then I also have a cloud that's okay for research, gathering regulatory information, compliance information, content generation, image generation, videos, building out websites, building out software, building out apps, all the information that is not private and doesn't need a high level of security, okay? So my rule, if losing it would ruin your business, keep it local. Client list leak, lawsuit. Financial data exposed, regulatory action. Agent memory stolen, competitor knows your strategy. If the downside of a data breach is existential, run it on hardware you control. If the downside is I need to regenerate a blog post, cloud is fine. And the way I'm looking at it is I believe every entrepreneur should have one of these. If you're an entrepreneur, if you have multiple things going on, like multiple businesses, you're working within multiple, like, I have my husband's business, my business, our personal finances. Those are 3 different entities that I need to keep track of on cash flow and credit cards and making payments. And wouldn't it be nice to be able to offload some of that to my Hermes? So even if it's just your personal finances as an entrepreneur, having an extra brain around to store all your data and help you find your information, okay? So at the very least, I'm using this as a way to help me find what I need to find, like a filing system, a data management system, okay? At the very, very least. You don't have to get into this multi-agent. Really, the only reason I'm getting into this multi-agent system setup is because I find it fascinating. It's interesting to me. It's a challenge for me. I like to try to figure stuff out. I like to challenge myself. That's the only reason. You don't have to have more than one agent. You can have an Hermes and your server, your big brain, and have it organize all your files, and I guarantee you will be better off, and you'll thank me later. So a pre-deployment checklist. This is probably the most important part of the presentation. Pre-deployment checklist, define the rules. What does this agent do? Write it down. And if you're having a hard time, this is when you use Opus. This is when you use ChatGPT. You get in there and you put your questions in there, and you put the questions in there, you put your answers, and you say, what questions do you need? How can I make this clearer? Help me define this better for my new agent I'm onboarding. And it will ask you even more questions, help you clarify, help you rewrite it. Use AI to help you refine this even tighter. So what does your agent do? Define your role. Choose your model, pick one, stick with it. Model switching is like re-onboarding, okay? You're getting a whole new personality every time you switch models, okay? Interview. So what I will say is if this is your first agent and you don't have a local model yet, that's totally fine. You will need to run on API keys, okay? You will have to. You'll have to, I would probably say start with a GPT 5.5 and move over to Open Router. Okay, so Open Router, you buy tokens there. They do have some free models available. You still have to pay their service fee. I think they charge like 0.7 cents per whatever. So they do have a service fee for giving you access to some free models, but you can get started relatively cheaply with a tool like Open Router, okay, without having to pay OpenAI. So first, define your role, choose your model, interview, do your 20 questions minimum, and then agent writes the summary and you confirm. You want to make sure they understand what you're saying and confirm. And I even took their response, copy and pasted it into my Perplexity and had it read it through. Just make sure I wasn't missing anything. Write your constitution, write your hard rules, no suggestions embedded in your system prompt. So when you're setting up your agent, don't ask your agent what you think. Don't ask your agent what it thinks you should do. Okay. I think that's probably one of my biggest problems I had with William. I want to say I trusted it too much. No, this was one of my rookie mistakes is I went into this thinking the AI knows better than I do. So I started asking it to come up with policies or asking it its opinion, I think a little bit too much in regards to security and privacy. So build infrastructure, direct systems MD. So make sure you're very specific on your systems MD and directory and building your infrastructure. If you need help, again, this is where I would use a Chat GPT or an Opus 4.7 as you write out or if you want to have a conversation with an agent about how to direct your orchestrator, devise that plan elsewhere, and then bring it to your new agent that you're deploying with Hermes or OpenClaw. Get cost caps, weekly, daily token budgets, auto disable on exceed. Set cost caps, test before cron jobs. So having my rule is the rule of 10 clean manual runs before any automations. Verify transparency. Every file the agent creates must be inspected by you. I have that as a clear rule with my agents. Deploy with gates. So level 0 first, and then the agent earns level 1, earns level 2. Don't rush. Okay, and you will have expectations. You will say, okay, well, next week I should be able to, or within 3 weeks, I'll be way along on this other, I'll be here in 3 weeks. 3 weeks comes and you're like, over this way, you're like, wow, I didn't think I'd take this direction. So this is a new frontier. So having expectations, have fragile and flexible expectations. Schedule reviews, daily check-ins, week 1, weekly after, monthly prompt audit. So I have increased the number of times I'm doing audits. I'm having my agents do audits like once every couple of days. I did have it set at monthly and then weekly, and I noticed that my performance started slipping after, I think it was like at 5 days I was noticing, because I'm just getting through more tasks, I guess, maybe, or just the volume of activity. So I have asked my agents to run audits more often, and really the point of my audits is to make sure the agents are not starting tasks, half finishing them, thinking that they're done, and then when I ask them about it again, making another file, recreating it, having all these little duplicate files everywhere, or unfinished tasks everywhere, and organizing my memories, or the memories and the history. I find that having those audits just really cleans up a lot of memory issues, and I've noticed that increasing the frequency of that has helped me a lot. Okay. Remember, AI agents are not magic. They are tools that need the same care as human employees. Now, remember, this is written by Hermes, so he has a bias for AI agents. Clear roles, proper tools, and consistent management. Start simple, get in the weeds, then move on like a lecturer. Okay. Consistent management. So I've asked my agents before, okay, are you guys getting better? Or am I getting better? And I think that a lot of it is me. Okay. In the beginning, I wasn't clear. I didn't know what I wanted. I didn't know what I didn't know. And as I become more clear, as I become a better leader myself, that is now translating to better work from my agents. So again, if you're wishy-washy with your agents, you will get wishy-washy results. If you're just copying and pasting other people's work into your agents, you're going to get a mishmash of wishy-washy work. If you're building with open source and using this code from over here and that code from over there and trying to create a quilt of software, you're going to have wishy-washy. It's difficult to have that patchwork all work together in a cohesive way and a functional way. So once again, slow down, define your roles, choose your models ahead of time, interview with your agent, write your constitution, please, 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 build out your infrastructure, set your cost caps, test before you set up a bunch of cron jobs, verify transparency, deploy with gates, and schedule reviews. Another 10. My agents know I like 10s. A full interview template is available. I can send it to you. It's the knowledge base raw interview from Melissa. Constitution example, I have that available as well. A system MD template that I can send to you, and my YouTube channel is at Mel DeWeese. Please follow the build there. If you would like copies of any of these or want to contact me for any of these resources, my email address is melissa@nomadinsgrp.com. Please feel free to reach out to me there. I also have a link to a community down below where we're learning from each other about agentic AI, and there are creatives there, there are people that are developers there, there's techie people, there's non-techie people. It's really a mishmash of all different types of people, all learning from one another, sharing information, and building a lot of cool things. So if you want to come check out the community, I will have a link for that down below as well. And you can also email me if you have questions about it. Thank you for hanging out to the end. Please like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. Don't miss an update from me. So go ahead, like, subscribe. Please write a comment below. Even just a little smiley face emoji would be fabulous. Please share the video with anybody that you think would find it useful or interesting. And I hope to see you over there in the Discord. All right? Bye-bye. See you next time.
If I miss one, is it gone forever? In the wind, I can't win. Bury the key, I can't bear it. In the loose dirt, I can't look, I can't bear to look at it. Maybe someone else will find it. I can't win, bury it, I can't bear it. Hover over another and another, tasting the air, the dry. Nard hatch, do I dare open that one? Close for good. Shut it up, locked it up, key buried. Maybe someone else will find it. Try another spinning dizzy. If I miss one, is it gone forever? In the wind, I can't win. Bury the key, I can't win. Bury it in the loose dirt. Maybe someone else will find it. I can't win, can't bear it, can't bear to love. I can't bear to love. Hover over another and another, tasting the air, the dry. An old hatch, do I dare open that one? Close for good. Shut it up, locked it up, keep buried. Who will bear it? Can't bear it, can't bear it, can't bear it, can't bear. Trying to look